Gentlemen, your takeaway is completely ruining your game. So if you guys are here to fix that, let's dive right in. So as you guys can see by the title, one of the biggest things I see amateurs make from a mistake standpoint, especially with the takeaway, that gets a lot of other things in trouble throughout the course of their golf swing, is going to be the takeaway. The takeaway, after setup, after grip, after everything is set in place, if you take the club in the correct way on the way back, we are going to run into issues long term. So let's fix this. So as you guys have seen, I'm pretty sure that 99% of the golfers that that I've coached and that I've seen on the driving range especially get into this position here. So they have too much forearm roll or too much rolling of the forearms out of the gates, and they get the club face getting wide open. Now, I'm sure you've seen this in the past, and don't get me wrong, there are outliers. There are very good players that play this way. However, 99% of us don't have that skill set. So we get the club going very, very, very far to the inside, and we get that forearm roll very, very quickly, and we don't get the body started first. So one of the things we want to try and accomplish is getting that one-piece takeaway, but more than that, we want to get the club face pointed in the correct direction. So like I said, one of the biggest things we see is getting the club head underneath the hands on the takeaway. So as you can see, more often than not, we get that quick forearm roll. The face is very, very open. As you can see, club and heel pointed straight up. We want to get this into a much more square position. But before we do that, we want to make sure that the club is moving with our body and the hands and the club are not moving independently of the upper body. So what happens here is once we get the club going too far inside, more often than not, it leads to this very, very high hand position. The club gets across the line, and then we have nowhere to go but standing the shaft completely vertical, coming over the top, possibly standing up, and then we run into a monumental amount of issues with contact and so on and so forth. So in order to fix that, one of the things we're going to do is rather than getting the forearms going inside early, or if you were looking at a steering wheel, we're getting it turned to the right, we want to make sure that we get this one-piece takeaway and we get the club head flush with our back line. So if I was to stand up vertically and turn, as you guys can see, me standing straight up, the club head's pointing straight up. But if I get into a golf posture and then I keep that club face where it is, as you can see, that's wide open. So what we would like to try and achieve here is getting the club head matching our back line, okay? So how are we going to do that? Well, first and foremost, we need to make sure that we're taking a one-piece takeaway and we're not letting the club get underneath our hands. So if you guys are practicing at home, this is going to be a great drill for you guys to practice in the mirror. You don't even have to hit golf balls, which is the beauty part of this. So as opposed to getting the club head going very, very far underneath the hands, across the line, standing up and up top, we're not going to take it in the other direction necessarily, but we are going to move in a one-piece takeaway. So if you guys look in the mirror, as the camera's set here, if you guys look in the mirror and you see this position here, this is no good. We want to make sure that we are moving the body and the hands together, getting that club face square to our back line, as you can see there. The easiest drills that you guys can do is grabbing an alignment rod, okay? You're going to place it halfway down the shaft so it makes an extension of the golf club. And one of the things you're going to do is you're going to press it against the rib cage, okay? And when you press it against the rib cage, if you disassociate what your hands look like from the club head, as you can see, there's an enormous separation here. And one of the things we want to try and avoid is exactly that. So what we would like to see is with you maintaining pressure and pressing against the ribs, we want to take it back together. So as you can see, I'm still making contact with the ribs here, and that more often than not will fix your club face issue as well. So from down the line view, again, we don't want to disassociate by letting the club head get underneath the hands, but what we want to do is keep that pressure of the alignment rod and simply focus on getting all the way back to a point where it's maintaining pressure with the rib cage. And as you can see, we're actually taking the club in a good spot. If we disassociate, the club is open. If we keep it in a good spot, then we're usually in good shape, as you guys can see from the back line, okay? So as you guys have now learned, we want to make sure that the club head doesn't get underneath the hands on the takeaway, and we want to make sure the club head the club itself doesn't get disassociated from the upper body. We want to make sure that we take it back together using the alignment rod drill. This will help, along with squaring up the club face. So as opposed to getting underneath with the toe up and the heel down facing wide open, we are going to get it to the point where we are pointing, not necessarily pointing down, but we're getting the club face to match the back line. So if you guys got some value out of this video, please leave a comment, share with a buddy, and if this helps your golf game, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.